Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Naruto. I, Minato Namikaze, dominate the ninja world. Chapter 21. Amid the cheers of many civilians, Namikaze Minato brought Rukia to the Hokage's office. Seeing this, Rukia showed curiosity on her face. A pair of beautiful eyes looked around everything and saw Minato sitting in the position of Hokage. I couldn't help but ask, "Brother Minato, is this where you work?" Minato nodded slightly and then looked at the girl in front of him. Minato suddenly thought of a question and asked, "Do you still have your power now?" Rukia blinked her bright purple eyes and slowly said, "Power, still, but I don't know why. Since I came to this world, there has been a strange power slowly restoring my lost power of death." As Rukia said this, a slender knife with snowflakes appeared in her hand. Minato nodded slowly when he heard this. Of course, he knew what was going on with Rukia's power. It must be the system that did it. After all, Rukia is a special reward given by the system elf, and the system must be responsible. Then Rukia continued. I seem to have reached the captain level spiritual pressure, so I can use the Zanpakuto's Bankai. Minato grasped the key point of Rukia's words. Wait. Rukia slowly closed her mouth and waited for Minato's question. Then Minato said, "You just said you can perform Bankai." Rukia nodded her head and said, "Since I came to this world, I feel that I have mastered the Bankai of the Zanpakuto." Minato nodded slowly and knew that all this was probably done by the system. This system is so considerate that Minato wants to give her a 5-star praise. In this way, if Rukia releases Bankai, her strength can at least reach the Super Shadow level. This is his personal maid, and now she has another identity, his top guard. Just when Minato Namikaze was thinking about what tasks to assign to Rukia in the future, the door of the Hokage's office was knocked. Minato tidied himself up and slowly sat down in the position of the Hokage. He said to the Anbu ninja outside the door, "Come in." The Anbu ninja heard Minato's words and slowly walked in and knelt on one knee. Minato curiously looked at the Anbu female ninja with a rabbit mask on her face. The female ninja had long purple hair and a slim figure. Minato remembered that when he watched the Naruto anime in his previous life, there was a purple-haired Anbu female ninja whose name seemed to be Azuki Yugao, and there seemed to be a kidney-deficient boyfriend named Moonlight Gale. Rukia looked at Azuki Yugao who was kneeling on one knee in front of her curiously, wondering what she came to Minato for. Azuki Yugao's pretty face under the mask said calmly and coldly, "Hokage, Kakashi's team encountered an attack by Orochimaru in the Forest of Death." Namikaze Minato's face gradually turned cold when he heard this, and he was also thinking in his heart, what is going on, why is Orochimaru here? Suddenly, Minato thought of something. Could it be that his resurrection caused some changes in the plot? But then he thought of his current strength in the ninja world where the 6 paths cannot be revealed. Even the god of the ninja world, Hashirama Senju, and the Shira of the ninja world, Uchiha Madara, he is not inferior. When he watched the anime Bleach in his previous life, Captain Yamamoto's war spirit sword was very powerful. Once the Bankai was released, the entire Soul Society would probably be destroyed. Thinking of this, Namikaze Minato cast his eyes on the Anbu female ninja Azuki Yugao below and said, "I know, you go down first." Anbu female ninja Azuki Yugao heard this and said, "It's Lord Hokage." Then he disappeared. Watching the Anbu ninja disappear, turned his head to look at the girl Rukia and smiled slightly, saying, "I have something to deal with, do you want to go and see it?" Quote. Rukia nodded excitedly when she heard this. She had been in this world for several hours, except for walking on the street after coming out of Minato's house. She hasn't taken a good look yet. She also wants to know what the ninja battles in this world are like. Compared with her own power of the god of death. Who is stronger and who is weaker? Thinking of this, a pair of beautiful purple eyes looked at Minato and smiled and said, "Of course I went." As she said that, she rushed to the place where the battle took place. Minato saw that Rukia disappeared directly, and also turned into a flash of light and rushed towards the battlefield. Swoosh, swoosh, 2 sounds of breaking through the air came, and 2 figures appeared on the battlefield. As soon as they arrived at the battlefield, the crisp and pleasant voice of the system elf came to his mind. Minato was happy when he heard it. The reward came, and he found that he could sign in at the sign-in location. Minato heard, Say sign in silently in my heart. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and obtaining the curse seal technique. Quote. After hearing this, Minato nodded and a curse appeared in his mind, how to use the seal. This sign in is meaningless to Minato because he can't use it, but later some of it can be passed on to his subordinates. Then Minato returned to reality from the system. In fact, Minato stayed in the system for so long, but only 1 second passed in reality. Looking at the figure in front of him, Minato smiled, and Rukia beside him looked at everything around curiously. At this moment, Rukia, who was curiously looking around, suddenly made a sound, but her voice was a little more serious and indifferent, saying that someone was injured over there. Then she pointed in a direction, and Minato looked in the direction of Rukia's finger, and saw a boy who looked about 12 or 13 years old leaning weakly against a big tree. Minato looked carefully and found that the boy was Uchiha Sasuke, and a red-haired girl next to him was holding a kunai and was on guard around tightly. Seeing this, Minato flashed in front of Sakura. Sakura appeared in front of her with a tall figure, and then Rukia, wearing a death suit and holding a war spirit sword, also walked over slowly. Sakura saw that it was Namikaze Minato, and hurriedly exclaimed, Hokage, you are finally here. Then he said, Hokage, please take a look at Sasuke, what happened to him? We were taking the Chunin exam in the Death Forest just now, and then we were attacked by Orochimaru. In the back, Orochimaru bit Sasuke's neck. Minato also understood what was going on, and then what about Naruto? Then Sakura hurriedly said, Naruto is fighting with Orochimaru, but Minato Namikaze is not worried at all, after all, he is now resurrected, and Orochimaru would not dare. Moreover, he has no hatred with Orochimaru, and then looked at Uchiha Sasuke who was leaning on the side and slowly walked to Uchiha Sasuke's side, looking at the strawberry planted by Orochimaru on his neck, oh no, it's a curse seal. Slowly took a breath and sealed the vertical style with both hands, 4 symbols seal, and pressed directly on the curse seal on Uchiha Sasuke's neck, and then the curse seal was replaced by the pattern of the 4 symbols seal. Realistically, if Uchiha Sasuke was not the reincarnation of Indra's chakra, Minato actually didn't want to care about him. Although Indra's chakra and Ashura can open the Samsara eye by combining with each other, they can also obtain the power of the 6 paths in Madara's mouth, but this kind of thing is meaningless to Minato. Because I have a system, I still prefer the power of Saiyans. After all, it is a star-level power, and there is also the Super Saiyan transformation. Just the transformation of Super Saiyan 1 can increase my power by 50 times. Besides, even if there is no Saiyan power, there is still the power of the God of Death in the world of death, and there may be the power of Hollows in the future. The power of the Quincy and so on. At this time, Sakura looked at Minato with a worried look and asked Hokage Sasuke, is he okay? At this time, Minato looked at Sakura with a face full of anxiety, and couldn't help but twitch his mouth. He couldn't help but complain in his heart, you haven't married yet, you care about her so much, and then slowly said, there are some side effects. Without waiting for Sakura to answer, he continued to say that after all, this is the curse seal developed by Orochimaru, the first scientist in the ninja world. Ordinary people really can't solve it, unless they find Orochimaru, but Orochimaru will not help Sasuke to solve it. This thing was developed by Orochimaru from Chugo. At this time, Rukia came over and said to Minato, Brother Minato, this little brother seems to have some injuries on his body. Do you need me to treat him with Kaido? Hearing her words, Minato looked at her curiously and asked in surprise, you also know Kaido? Rukia nodded and continued, because I was often injured, I learned Kaido from Captain Shiga no Hana. Oh, is that so? Minato replied, and Sakura on the side saw that there was a beautiful girl standing next to Minato. Rukia saw Sakura looking at her, smiled at Sakura, and then stretched out her right hand, and the spiritual pressure on her body surged out. Then she began to chant the Kaido spell, and gradually, as the Kaido spell was chanted, Rukia's left hand appeared green light, and as these lights merged into Uchiha Sasuke's wounds, they also recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. The recovery of the wound also made Uchiha Sasuke wake up from his coma. This was where he saw clearly that the person in front of him was the 4th Hokage. He hurriedly said to Minato, Lord Hokage, please go and save Naruto. At this time, Sasuke also saw Rukia. Minato nodded slightly when he heard it, then looked at Rukia beside him, and rushed towards the direction of Uzumaki Naruto, Orochimaru on the battlefield. On another battlefield, Uzumaki Naruto, who was in a state of disgrace, was facing Orochimaru. Seeing the wounded Naruto, Orochimaru could not help but admire him. You are indeed Minato's child. You have such a large amount of chakra at such a young age. Naruto was not happy to see this, but looked at Orochimaru angrily and asked, "What are you going to do?" Orochimaru chuckled and said, "It's nothing, I just want to accept a disciple." Naruto frowned when he heard this, obviously thinking about the credibility of Orochimaru's words just now. Just as Uzumaki Naruto was thinking, a gentle female voice sounded in Naruto's mind, "Naruto, don't believe him, Orochimaru is lying to you." The voice was Naruto's mother Uzumaki Kushina. He obviously had other purposes for doing that. Naruto couldn't help but sigh in his heart when he heard this. It's good to have more people. At this time, the rough voice of the Nine Tails sounded, "Naruto, I will lend you my power." At this time, Naruto said to Uzumaki Kushina, "Thank you, mother, thank you Nine Tails." Kushina chuckled and told Naruto to be careful, and then disappeared. Naruto looked at the Nine Tails, and the Nine Tails slowly said, "Your mother needs to consume chakra to appear, so she went back." Naruto nodded, his consciousness returned to the outside world, and a strong chakra burst out of his body. This chakra blew the surrounding trees rustling, and the dust on the ground was blown into the sky. The golden Nine Tails chakra also rose from Naruto's body. Seeing this, Orochimaru showed a look of shock on his pale and sick face. Then a hoarse voice came out of his mouth, "I can't believe it. The boy who is called a demon fox actually mastered the power of the Nine Tails." Then Orochimaru burst out with powerful chakra and terrifying murderous aura, and then shouted, "Ninjutsu! Snake hand!" Then Naruto jumped to avoid it. Unfortunately, Uzumaki Naruto has not practiced with Jiraiya yet, and now he has only mastered the multiple shadow clone technique. Uzumaki Naruto put his hands together and shouted, "Multiple shadow clone technique." Then hundreds of Uzumaki Naruto appeared on the battlefield and attacked Orochimaru. Seeing this, Orochimaru did 2 backflips and left the battlefield. Then he made a seal with his hands and shouted, "Ninjutsu! 10,000 snakes!" Dense little snakes of power came out of Orochimaru's mouth. Seeing this, Naruto quickly jumped back and avoided Orochimaru's attack. At this moment, Orochimaru's face changed, and he turned around and wanted to run. A familiar voice sounded, "Orochimaru, I just arrived and you are leaving. This is too disrespectful to me." Naruto turned around and saw Minato and said happily, "Dad, you are here." Orochimaru's pale and sick face was dripping with cold sweat. The last time he fought with Minato, Orochimaru felt that Minato did not use his full strength against him. It can even be said that he did not use his true strength. This time, Orochimaru felt that Minato's strength was more terrifying than the last battle. "Orochimaru, long time no see." Minato looked at Orochimaru and greeted him with a smile. Orochimaru heard the words and quickly agreed on the surface, "Yes. Long time no see." He couldn't help but complain in his heart, "Long time no see, we just met today and yesterday. If he couldn't beat me, he would have fought a long time ago, why would he talk to Minato here?" Orochimaru calmed down and quickly noticed the girl next to Minato. Orochimaru's intuition told him that the girl next to Minato was very scary and definitely not a good person. Because Orochimaru suddenly found that he could not detect the chakra of the other party, but the person who could stand with Minato could be an ordinary person. Orochimaru was still thinking about how to escape. At this time, a loud noise broke out in the forest not far away. Orochimaru smiled and said, "Can I go now?" Minato glanced at Orochimaru and smiled and asked for permission. At this time, the system's voice sounded, "Found a person who can sign in. Orochimaru, do you want to sign in?" Minato was stunned when he heard this, and then he was happy in his heart. "Good guy can sign in repeatedly, this is a bug." Quickly said to the system, "Sign in." The system also came back and responded to Minato, "Ding, sign in successfully to obtain the Ryuchidong Sage mode." This made Minato unable to do it. Didn't Orochimaru still not know how to do it? How could he sign into the Sage technique of Ryuchidong? Alas. Regardless, I can only say that the system is awesome. As soon as the words fell, a strange power was injected into Minato Namikaze's body by the system, and at the same time, he also mastered the practice method of Ryuchidong immortal art. With the infusion of power, Minato also activated the immortal mode of Ryuchidong. His body was covered with light green immortal art chalk. Pulling the package, 2 white horns appeared on the forehead, a light green line appeared on both sides of the cheeks, the sky blue eyes also turned into golden vertical pupils, and the light green chakra around them also appeared like little snakes and swirled around Namikaze Minato. Minato felt the power in his body and couldn't help but sigh. It's really a good power. Unlike the Myoboku Mountain Senjutsu, the Ryachi Cave Senjutsu has a strong recovery and self-healing ability. The Myoboku Mountain Senjutsu is the perception of chakra. The people around him showed different reactions when they saw Minato's appearance. Rukia looked at Minato curiously with her beautiful eyes, wanting to know the reason for Minato's appearance. Naruto, who was standing by, looked at Minato with shining eyes, with a look of admiration on his face, as if he was looking at my dad. Orochimaru was shocked to see the Sage Mode on Minato, and he didn't know why Minato could use the Sage Mode of Ryachido. He couldn't even use this, and Minato couldn't help but say when he saw Orochimaru's surprised look. Want to learn? I can teach you. Orochimaru's throat rolled and he said subconsciously. Are you serious? Of course it's true, but I have conditions. Orochimaru's heart sank when he heard this, but his face was still calm. Looking at Minato, he asked calmly, what conditions? Minato didn't hesitate to say directly, I invite you to be the head of Konoha's scientific research department. Orochimaru was stunned when he heard this, and then a smile appeared on his pale face, and he looked at Minato and said in a hoarse voice, but I am a rebel ninja of Konoha. Quote. Minato smiled and continued, those are not what you need to worry about, you just need to tell me whether you agree or not. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes slightly when he heard this, what if I don't agree? Orochimaru asked tentatively. Minato knew what Orochimaru was thinking, and smiled and waved his hand and said, if you don't agree, then don't agree. But Orochimaru couldn't speak and continued. But I have told you the Sage Mode of Ryuchidong. If you don't agree, you will miss this opportunity. If you want to learn the Sage technique of Ryuchidong from me again in the future, it will not be so easy. Quote. This means that if Orochimaru wants to learn from him again in the future, he will have to pay more. Orochimaru began to think deeply after hearing what Minato said, and Minato did not forget to add the last fuel to the fire. Watching the dilemma of the immortal, Orochimaru Minato continued to speak. As far as I know, once the immortal arts of Ryachi Cave are started, there is no turning back. The consequence of failing to learn the immortal arts of Ryachi Cave is to be eaten by the White Snake Immortal or the 3 god princesses of Ryachi Cave. Orochimaru was a little surprised to hear what Minato said, and couldn't help asking, how did you know? Minato did not answer Orochimaru's question but said to himself, you didn't go for this reason. Orochimaru, you don't want to be eaten for learning the Sage Mode of Ryachi Cave. Quote. Orochimaru was horrified when he heard what Minato said, and an unprecedented fear rose in his heart. This fear was not about strength, but that the other party knew everything about you, even your inner thoughts, while you knew nothing about the other party. Orochimaru had to admit that Minato had changed and become stronger, and his mind had become more thoughtful than before. It even scared him, the cold-hearted Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas. You know, this has never happened before, even when fighting against Hanzo of the Salamander. Orochimaru suppressed the fear in his heart and asked Minato Namikaze, how did you know all this? Minato knew all this because he watched the Naruto anime in his previous life. Minato smiled indifferently and said, Orochimaru, don't worry about how I know it. If you want to learn fairy arts, come to the forest outside to find me. Quote. After saying that, without waiting for Orochimaru to speak, he took Rukia and Uzumaki Naruto to the place where the battle took place. After a few jumps, he disappeared. Orochimaru looked at the background where Minato Namikaze disappeared and shook his head and sighed. The ninja world may be changing, and then jumped onto the tree and disappeared. Quote. On the other side, a huge raccoon cat roared wildly, you guys, all of you, die for me. Quote. A huge palm hit the ninjas of Konoha. Kakashi saw this and made seals with both hands, earth escape, earth flow wall. A wall of earth rose from the ground and blocked it slightly, giving everyone a chance to perform ninjutsu. Fire escape. Great fireball technique. Fire escape. Dust hiding technique. Konoha great cyclone. Konoha strong cyclone. Illusion binding killing technique. The attacks of the ninjas hit Shukaku, the one-tailed beast, and a puff of smoke was stirred up. Tamari and Kankuro were worried when they saw Shukaku being attacked, because it was their brother Gaara who was being attacked. Although he was controlled by the one-tailed Shukaku, Minato and the other two rushed over. Naruto shouted, "Teacher Kakashi." Rukia looked at Uzumaki Naruto in surprise, and then looked at Minato beside him, as if to say, "Is this really your son? I didn't know he was so hidden. If he was on the mission, something big might happen." Minato was helpless, and he was speechless about his cheap son. Minato was wondering if it was the influence of Ashura's chakra. Kakashi heard this and asked Naruto, "Have you seen Minato, teacher?" Naruto said, "My father is behind me. Sasuke and Sakura have been rescued." Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief. This monster was the one-tailed Shukaku of the Sand Village. He continued, "I'm here, you stinky raccoon cat." Shukaku became even more violent when he saw the appearance of Uzumaki Naruto. He roared at the Uzumaki Naruto in front of him, "You stinky fox, you fool." Of course, Naruto knew that the one-tailed Shukaku was scolding the nine-tailed in his body. He looked at Shukaku and said, "You guy, let me show you how powerful I am." Multiple shadow clone technique. Quote, after a burst of smoke, hundreds of Uzumaki Naruto appeared on the battlefield and attacked Shukaku, the one-tailed beast. The rest of them also used various ninjutsu on Shukaku. During the battle, Minato Namikaze found that Naruto didn't seem to have any other ninjutsu except the multiple shadow clone technique and Rasengan. This won't do. After all, this is his own cheap son. All he can do is use the Rasengan and the multiple shadow clone technique. Minato thought so and made up his mind to teach Naruto a few more ninjutsu after the war was over. Unfortunately, he didn't know why he couldn't teach Naruto and others his spiritual pressure. When he asked the system replied, "Different worlds and different power systems cannot be used directly with each other. The reason why you can use the ghost way is because this system directly infuses the power of the god of death into your body. All the power that appears in the system is given by this system and you can use it directly." The system's faint voice came. Without waiting for Minato to ask, he continued, "But other people, you need something else." At this time, the system elf recommended, "The system has launched new products. You can go and have a look." Minato's mouth twitched when he heard this, and he looked at the only 35 points on him and couldn't buy anything. At this time, Minato found that there was an extra scroll of Chakra Ghost Way learning scroll in the system. Minato's mouth twitched when he saw this. This system is doing pyramid selling. Minato clicked on the item introduction, Kido Scroll Chakra version, which contains the training methods of Hado, Kaido, and Fudo, which can be practiced using chakra. Minato saw that it took 120 points to buy the scroll, and he didn't know when he could save enough points. The chakra version of Kido was a little weaker than the spiritual pressure version. But it's better than nothing, so Minato returned to reality from the system space. I saw Uzumaki Naruto bite his thumb and quickly seal his hands. He slapped his hands on the ground, and a formation with runes appeared on the ground. There was a bang and a burst of smoke. When the smoke dissipated, a huge toad appeared on the battlefield, holding a huge long sword and a pipe in his mouth. Seeing that it was a little devil who summoned him, he couldn't help but complain. "It's you, little devil, you summoned me again, tell me what's going on," Gamabunta said impatiently. "The toad boss is the stinky raccoon cat in front of him," Naruto said excitedly after hearing this. Seeing this, Gamabunta couldn't help but complain in his heart. 13 years ago, I was summoned to fight the tailed beasts. I didn't expect that 13 years later, it would be like this again. Looking at the one-tailed Shukaku on the battlefield, Minato, who was observing in secret, frowned and thought. It seems that his crossing did cause a butterfly effect. In this battle, he thought that Orochimaru would lurk for a while because of his appearance. But what he didn't expect was that Orochimaru came out to make trouble so quickly, and also made the one-tailed Jinchuriki go berserk. I remember watching the anime in the Death Forest in my previous life. Only Naruto fought against the one-tailed Shukaku. Now I don't know what's going on. The leading teachers of Konoha seem to have gathered here and fought against the one-tailed Shukaku. It seems that what should happen will still happen, but it's a matter of sooner or later. I can't just rely on knowing the plot. In this case, I might as well take the initiative to change some things. At the same time, I have to find a place to sign in quickly to get rewards and improve my strength. On the other side of the battlefield, Naruto, you are really a fool. You actually let me fight such a monster, you really think highly of me. Gamabunta said with some dissatisfaction. On the battlefield, Gamabunta and one-tailed Shukaku were facing each other. Uzumaki Naruto, who was standing on Gamabunta's head, hurriedly said, "Don't you have Kakashi and others here, Boss Gama?" He complained in his heart. Besides, my father is also watching in the dark. The nine-tailed beast was killed instantly by my father's unmarked ninjutsu, not to mention the one-tailed Shukaku, the worst of the tailed beasts. Gamabunta heard Uzumaki Naruto say this and glanced at Kakashi and others around him. He snorted coldly and said nothing. He looked up at Uzumaki Naruto, who was standing above him with a serious face. It was obvious that he also felt it was very difficult. Suddenly, the belly of the one-tailed Shukaku swelled up at a speed visible to the naked eye. Wind style. Air bomb. Just an air cannon was fired from the mouth of the one-tailed Shukaku. The air cannon alone was 4 or 5 meters in size. Such power could not be endured by a cage-level ninja. Even a cage-level ninja would definitely feel uncomfortable if he was hit by such a blow, let alone a Jonin or a Chunin. The destructive power of the wind-style air bomb was very strong, and the speed was also very fast. In just a blink of an eye, it reached Gamabunta. It's too fast, there's no time to dodge. Gamabunta couldn't help but feel a little regretful. In desperation, he had to cross the long sword in his hand across his chest to block the attack. Boom! The huge explosion was deafening. The power of this air bomb should not be underestimated. It directly hit the huge and dense forest. A big pit exploded in the forest, and there was no grass growing for dozens of meters around. Kakashi and others around had already left the place after seeing this. Naruto also had a look of surviving a disaster. Just now, when he was in a life-and-death situation, he almost used the power of the 9 tails in his body. Gamabunta was confused and hit the target in a wrong direction. However, it was impossible. The opponent's attack was all directed at him. And it was about to hit him. When he looked up, he saw a big pit on his right. How could it be so bad? Bunta, have you become so slow now? How can this be possible? Minato's somewhat flat voice sounded. While Gamabunta was stunned, a teasing voice came from above his head. Hearing this, Gamabunta's huge body stiffened slightly. This voice sounded a little familiar. Then he looked up and saw Namikaze Minato looking at him with a smile. Gamabunta was so scared that he couldn't help but burst out with a swear word, "Are you a human or a ghost?" Uzumaki Naruto was a little unhappy when he heard this and yelled at Gamabunta. "What are you talking about? This is my dad, how can he be a ghost? Dad, why are you here? I saw you were in danger and I rushed over." Naruto felt warm when he heard this, and Gamabunta beside him realized that you were really Minato and not a ghost. Minato felt funny when he heard this. "You are a toad afraid of ghosts, who would believe it if you tell others?" Minato smiled and nodded on the surface to confirm his identity again. Gamabunta couldn't help but feel relieved when he heard Minato's reassurance and asked Minato. "Minato, didn't you die in the 9 Tails Rebellion 13 years ago? How could you be resurrected and appear here again?" Minato was helpless when he heard this. How could he explain it himself? "I can't say that I am a time traveler and I also have a system." The time traveler and the system are Minato's biggest secrets. No one can tell it, not even the closest people. So Minato decided to tell a lie to cover it up, and then he told the story of how he was resurrected by Orochimaru and how the third Hokage was seriously injured by Orochimaru. Uzumaki Naruto on the side also said quickly, "I can testify, Toad Boss, because I was at the scene at the time, and Kakashi teacher can also testify." How could Gamabunta not believe that the guy standing on his head was Minato Namikaze after hearing Minato's words? After all, in this ninja world, there is probably no one else with such a fast speed except Minato Namikaze. At the beginning, he also signed a contract with this guy, and the two fought side by side for countless times, but even so, Gamabunta still couldn't imagine it. Minato looked at the one who was lost in thought and couldn't help shaking his head and said, "You should deal with the guy in front of you first." Minato turned around and looked at the little trash in front of him. Oh no, it was Shukaku. The other party's wind escape just now was transferred away by himself with Flying Thunder God, so it didn't hurt Gamabunta and Uzumaki Naruto. Looking at the one-tailed Shukaku in front of him, there is also a figure above his head. Obviously, the other party has fallen into the art of dozing. In this case, the one who controls the body now is Shukaku, right? Who disturbed my battle? You don't know how to live or die. The one-tailed Shukaku began to roar in an angry voice. Shukaku was furious when he saw that his attack suddenly disappeared. This was his own battle, and someone dared to interfere in his battle, so he shouted in the opposite direction. After shouting, he found that there was a figure above Gamabunta's head, looking at the person who attacked. Shukaku felt a little familiar, as if he had seen the other party somewhere, but he couldn't remember the details, so he stopped thinking about it and shook his huge head. Minato couldn't help but be curious when he saw this. This guy actually still remembered me. It seems that this raccoon cat has a good memory. In the Third Ninja World War, the Sand Village threw the old one-tailed Jinchuriki Banfuku into the battlefield in order to protect the Wind Country. But for some reason, during the Third Ninja World War, the one-tailed Shukaku went berserk, and it was finally controlled by the fourth Kazekage Rasa. Still can't remember. In that case, let me help you, Minato said indifferently. I saw that Minato's hand was frantically condensing wind attribute chakra, and a wind attribute chakra ball appeared on Minato Namikaze's right hand. Seeing this, the one-tailed Shukaku's huge eyes shrank slightly. This technique is followed by a face full of shock. You are Konoha's golden flash Minato Namikaze, how did you come back to life? Then he seemed to react and said tremblingly. Seeing this, Minato did not comment, and a faint and somewhat cold voice sounded. It seems that you should remember it. Quote, Naruto, who was standing by, couldn't help but put his hands on his waist and laughed heartlessly when he saw the reaction of the one-tailed Shukaku. That's right, the raccoon cat is scared. This is the fourth Hokage of Konoha, Minato Namikaze. Don't be so nervous, I won't eat you, Minato teased. Aren't you dead? How did you come back to life? Are you a human or a ghost? The one-tailed Shukaku looked at Minato Namikaze with a serious look. Minato felt helpless when he heard this. Why did everyone ask him if he was a human or a ghost when they saw him? Then Minato smiled and said, "It's time to end." Kaka around saw this and hurriedly called out to Kurenai Yuhi, Asuma and others to get away from the battlefield. Naruto Uzumaki saw this and quickly lifted the summoning technique and saw Rukia waving at him. He remembered that she came with his father, so he ran to Rukia's side without any worries and continued to cast the ghost barrier. Light green, the light spread from Rukia's body, forming a circular green protective shield. Uzumaki Naruto looked at the light green protective shield in front of him curiously, poked it with his finger, and then punched the protective shield in front of Rukia's astonished eyes, causing a series of fluctuations. Naruto on the side jumped up in pain because of excessive force. Rukia couldn't help but hold her forehead. Is this really the son of Minato? Why doesn't he look so smart? That's a ghost barrier. Did you hit it directly with your hands? Then Rukia walked to Uzumaki Naruto's side and stretched out a white and tender hand like jade. Minato saw that everyone was moving away from the battlefield, looked up at the one-tailed Shukaku in front of him, and smiled. Sorry, I don't like looking up at others, so please fall down. Then he saw Minato disappear in front of the one-tailed Shukaku, who exclaimed. What do you mean disappeared? Why didn't I feel this guy's chakra? This guy is there. The one-tailed Shukaku's huge raccoon head looked back and forth. It seemed to be looking for Minato's figure, and then a cold and ruthless voice sounded, Rasengan. A chakra ball with a diameter of more than 1 meter hit the one-tailed Shukaku's body fiercely, and the huge force knocked the one-tailed Shukaku's huge body to the ground fiercely. All the trees on the ground around were destroyed, and a large pit of more than 20 meters on the ground was formed. Then the Rasengan exploded with a huge explosion, which was deafening, and a burst of broken branches and thick smoke was raised. The Konoha ninjas around couldn't help but gasp when they saw this. Is this the strength of the fourth Hokage? Just the aftermath of the battle made us feel terrified, let alone fighting. On the other side, Rukia in the barrier looked at Naruto with surprise. This guy didn't even shout. Then Rukia said to Naruto beside her, "You don't seem surprised at all that you defeated this guy called Shukaku." At this time, Naruto laughed. "You don't know that there is a guy in my body who is much more powerful than this monster." Rukia looked puzzled when she heard this, because she had just arrived in this world not long ago and was not very familiar with the so-called ninja battles in this world, so she hoped that Naruto in front of her could tell him about it. Naruto saw Rukia asking him and that this sister seemed to have a special relationship with his father, so he told Rukia. Especially when talking about Minato killing the Nine Tails in seconds, Naruto cleared his throat, turned around, imitated Minato, and continued. The Nine Tails was killed in seconds after the Nine Tails was killed in seconds. Rukia couldn't help but sighed. I didn't expect that brother Minato was so strong. The high-level Kido chanted by the broken beasts killed the strongest existence among the tailed beasts in seconds. Thinking of his current spiritual pressure, let alone the Nine Tails black coffin chanted by the broken beasts, his current spiritual pressure can only use the Kido and Bindo below the 85 broken beasts. On the other side of the battlefield, Minato slowly landed on the battlefield not far away. When the dust cleared, everyone saw a scene on the battlefield. I saw that the body of the one-tailed Shukaku was pierced by the explosion of the Rasengan, and half of his upper body was pierced. The yellow sand in his body slowly flowed out along his body. Everyone was shocked by this scene. Yuhi Kurenai, the fourth Hokage, is so strong. We fought that monster for a long time but didn't cause any damage to him. Kakashi saw this and asked himself, I underestimated the teacher's strength. I didn't expect that he used his full strength when he was resurrected that day. Asuma, who was smoking a cigarette, also expressed his opinion. It seems that the fourth Hokage didn't use his full strength when Orochimaru attacked Konoha last time. Oh, this is youth, see. This is the battle of real men, I will also come to Konoha Tornado. Kakashi saw this and thought to himself. Not good, he quickly blocked in front of Might Guy, there are two big guys fighting over there. We two little trash should not go over there, okay. Might Guy heard Kakashi say this and thought that what Kakashi said was right, so he said loudly. I understand Kakashi, you are really my eternal opponent. Kakashi shook his head helplessly when he saw this. The sand on the body of Shukaku gathered quickly, and soon the half of the body that was smashed by Minato with the Rasengan was restored to its original state, and a pair of brown raccoon eyes stared angrily at Minato Namikaze in front of him. You guys really deserve to die. A huge roar came out of his mouth, and then a huge palm hit Minato, who smiled slightly when he saw this. This is interesting. Then he took out a long sword from the system space and chopped at the claws of the one-tailed Shukaku. The huge arm was cut off the moment it came into contact with the long sword in Minato's hand. Of course, the long sword in Minato's hand was forged in the Konoha blacksmith shop, because Minato felt that fighting with kunai was too short. As the saying goes, an inch longer, an inch stronger. As a good citizen who received compulsory education in the 9th grade in his previous life, he certainly knew this truth. A few more sword lights flashed across the one-tailed Shukaku, and another arm was chopped off. The tail behind it was also chopped off. Only then did the one-tailed Shukaku regain its senses, wisdom. A pair of brown eyes stared at the blonde man in front of him, and suddenly felt that he seemed to be no match for him at this point in the battle. Thinking of not hurting the other party at all, a trace of fear flashed in his eyes. So the one-tailed Shukaku opened his bloody mouth and gathered black ions in his mouth. After a while, a black sphere was gathered. Go to hell, you guy. Then everyone was shocked when they saw this expression. It was the tailed beast Jade. Everyone couldn't help but worry about Minato in their hearts. Then they saw Namikaze. Minato's eyes were still calm and flew towards Minato with the tailed beast Jade. I saw Namikaze. Minato chuckled and slowly raised his right hand and said, the 81st severance of Binding Tao. I saw a 3-foot air force rising from the ground, piercing through the sky and earth and blocking Minato. The huge-tailed beast Jade collided with the white air wall and made a deafening sound. The violent energy spread to the surroundings, and even the trees were swayed by this force. Seeing this, the one-tailed Shukaku burst into laughter. Golden Flash Minato Namikaze is just like this. He was still killed by my tailed beast ball. Just as the one-tailed Shukaku was daydreaming, a frivolous voice sounded. Is this your full strength? Not so good. Too weak. The smile on Shukaku's face froze when he heard it, and his laughter also stopped abruptly. Quote. Looking towards the smoke-filled place, a figure slowly appeared and walked out of the smoke. It was Minato Namikaze. After seeing that Minato had endured his strongest attack and was unscathed, he began to panic in his heart, although his strength was the bottom among the tailed beasts. But it is not something that a mere ninja can compare to. Suddenly, I thought of a tall and mighty man with a hedgehog-like hair draped over his shoulders and a pair of scarlet eyes with strange patterns, releasing a fascinating light. I just looked at that guy and lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was sealed up. Then I thought about my 9-tailed beasts, which were traded like goods and sold to other ninja villages. What about me? I was sold to the Sand Village, and then the people of the Sand Village used some bullshit iron armor seal to seal me in the body of an old monk named Fenfuku. In this way, I became a war weapon of the Sand Village. Now this guy who is fighting with me is also a pervert. He has been fighting with me for so long and his chakra has not decreased at all. Thinking of this, Shukaku, the one-tailed beast, had a bold idea in his heart. Maybe there is also a tailed beast in this guy's body, otherwise how can the chakra last so long? Although I don't know how this guy used the tailed beast ball just now, it definitely consumed a lot of chakra. How could Minato know that what he used was not a ninjutsu at all, and it didn't consume chakra at all? Minato looked at the one-tailed Shukaku in front of him with interest, wanting to see what other tricks this raccoon cat had that he hadn't used yet. Just then the system's voice sounded. Ding, a sign-in target was found, do you want to sign in? Minato couldn't help but look at the system's prompt sound, and thought that this guy could trigger the system to sign in. Thinking of this, Namikaze Minato said to the system, sign in. Ding, congratulations to the host for signing in successfully, and the amount of chakra obtained increased by 50%. The system's voice sounded again. Seeing that the amount of chakra obtained was increased, Minato didn't feel disappointed, and then he felt that his chakra was more than before, a full half of chakra. As the chakra surged, Minato Namikaze released a powerful chakra uncontrollably. As the chakra surged, the chakra had been materialized visibly because of the chakra doubled reward from the previous sign-ins. The golden chakra soared into the sky and formed a circular light column. The trees within 100 meters around were pressed to the ground by this force, and the one-tailed Shukaku was pressed to slide back dozens of meters. Kakashi and others saw this and quickly performed Earth Escape ninjutsu to defend. Earth Escape. Earth Flow Wall. In an instant, a half-meter thick and 4-meter-high earth wall rose from the ground, blocking everyone in front of them. Rukia on the other side was also surprised when she saw this. Asked the excited Uzumaki Naruto next to him, is this the chakra you said you need to perform ninjutsu? Naruto nodded excitedly when he heard this, and Rukia nodded slightly. This is the chakra that a human has, more than my chakra. This guy is a monster. One-tailed Shukaku, am measuring this with my chakra. I am willing to call you Chatanla. As Minato retracted his power, the surrounding smoke and dust fell to the ground. Looking at the one-tailed Shukaku in front of him, he smiled and said, I'm sorry that my chakra suddenly went out of control just now. The one-tailed Shukaku glanced at Minato with his raccoon eyes, thinking that you are a bad guy, I don't believe you. Then he slowly disappeared. Minato was slightly stunned when he saw this, and then he reacted and smiled. This guy, one-tailed Shukaku, admitted his fear and ran away. The spectators on the side were stunned when they saw this, and they rubbed their eyes quickly, fearing that they had seen it wrong. Then Kakashi was the first to react and said, let's go. Let's go and take a look. At this time, the Sand Ninja team, Temari and Kankuro, who were watching from a distance, saw this, looked at Minato and hurried to the unconscious Gaara. After checking Gaara, they found that he was not in danger of life, but just exhausted from fighting. Then he thanked Minato Namikaze in front of him, thank you, the fourth Hokage. He bowed slowly to Minato again. Minato didn't feel strange when he heard the other party call him the fourth Hokage, because when he was fighting with the one-tailed Shukaku just now, Shukaku revealed his identity. So Temari and Kankuro knew that they were the fourth Hokage of Konoha. Now Temari was worried, afraid that the man in front of them would not let them leave. This man is not even the opponent of the monster in Gaara's body. Didn't you see that the one-tailed Shukaku was scared and released the tailed beast and returned to Gaara's body just now? Minato smiled and waved his hand to signal the other party to leave. Open, Temari looked deeply at the sunny and handsome man in front of her. She signaled Kankuro next to her, picked up the unconscious Gaara on the ground, then jumped up and jumped onto the tree. Before leaving, she did not forget to look at Minato, then turned around and disappeared in the distance with a few jumps. At this time, Naruto came from a distance, and his voice was shouting, "Dad, you are so handsome." At the same time, he waved his hands and danced. Rukia saw Minato's beautiful purple eyes, looked up and down at Minato, and asked with a worried look, "Brother Minato, you are not injured?" Seeing Rukia in front of him, she felt warm in her heart, and she couldn't help but pat her little head with her hand, and then she said to Kakashi, Mitarashi Anko and others who came over, "It's over, let's go." As soon as he finished speaking, Minato Namikaze took Rukia and Uzumaki Naruto and disappeared. Seeing this, Kakashi also said to everyone, "Are your students okay? I still have to go find Uchiha Sasuke and Sakura." After saying that, he disappeared from everyone's sight in a few jumps without waiting for everyone to answer. Sarutobi Asuma, who was holding a cigarette in his mouth and looked like an uncle, couldn't help but say, "Let's go back too." Everyone returned to the village after hearing this. Minato Namikaze saw that it was getting dark, so he took Uzumaki Naruto and Rukia to eat. Walking on the street, everyone saw Uzumaki Naruto next to Minato, and they all showed disgust. He was also constantly cursing and talking in a low voice. Minato was so powerful that even though the other party was talking in a low voice, Minato could hear it clearly. He couldn't help but frown, and his heart sank. He felt that his predecessor was really a stupid fool. It was a waste of a good woman like Kushina. She actually lost her life for such a village. As a time traveler, Minato knew what kind of life Naruto had lived in the past 12 years. It can even be said that he was not as good as an orphan in an orphanage. Turning his head to look at his son, he saw Naruto walking in a daze. His tender little face was full of loneliness, and his pair of blue eyes had lost their former color. Minato was not a saint, and he would not repay evil with kindness. Now these poor people insulted Naruto indiscriminately, and even scolded him, the fourth generation Hokage. At this moment, Minato suddenly stopped, and his chakra burst out suddenly, causing the ground around Minato and the other two to shatter. The spider web-like cracks spread around, and then the terrifying killing intent was released. The poor people of Konoha who were whispering about it turned pale under the cover of this killing intent, and their minds were in a trance as if they were going to be in hell in the next moment. Minato became famous in the ninja world in the Third Ninja World War. I don't know how many people he killed. These killing intentions were honed from the mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Besides, Minato really planned to kill these guys. Just when these villagers were about to have a mental breakdown, a hand suddenly pulled the corner of Minato's clothes, then looked up at Minato and said, "Okay, Dad, let's go eat." Minato glanced at Rukia beside him, and Rukia smiled and nodded. Minato looked at the Konoha civilians lying on the ground indifferently, and then called the two to walk forward. Everyone looked at Minato's back as he walked away, and said with resentment, "The fourth generation of Hokage. The third generation Hokage never cares about these things." Quote, if Minato knew what the Konoha civilians were thinking, he would definitely say that the third Hokage certainly wouldn't care about that. The mastermind behind all this that led to Naruto's tragic ending was the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen and his old partner, the Nabekage Danzo. On the other side, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had just come out of the ninja hospital, was sitting at home, surrounded by three old guys, who were Sarutobi Hiruzen's old classmates and Konoha's advisory elders, Mito Kato-en and Udatane Kaharu, and Shimura Danzo, who was known as the Dark of the ninja world. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a long puff of smoke and said, "Minato is back now. What do you think of this? And I feel that there is something fishy about Minato's resurrection." Seeing that his three friends didn't answer, he continued, "I feel that Minato is different now than before. He is a bit more sharp and mature than before." Quote, the three were speechless after hearing this. Minato had only sealed the 9 tails and died, but his soul still exists. After being locked up in the belly of the god of death for so long, isn't it normal for him to have some changes? At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen finished speaking, looked at his 3 friends, looked at him with sympathy, and couldn't help but said, "Are you listening to me?" Shimura Danzo, who had been resting with his eyes closed, slowly opened his only remaining eye. Looking at the 3 people, he said, "I don't know what you said. I only know that today in the Death Forest, according to the spies of the route, the information monitored was that Namikaze Minato defeated the one-tailed beast Shukaku of the Sand Village alone in the Death Forest." Everyone's face sank when they heard this, and Udatane Kaharu hurriedly asked, "What should we do? She doesn't want Minato to step down like this after he comes back. She hasn't sat in the position of the Konoha elders group long enough. Because she is an elder of Konoha all these years, she has given herself the family gained a lot of benefits, making it an important family in Konoha, and the key is that they don't have to go to the battlefield." Sarutobi Hiruzen saw that several of his old classmates were looking at him. He felt helpless but still said, "Let's wait and see what Minato wants to do." "Hiruzen, you are too weak. Do you know that today Minato Namikaze released murderous intent against the civilians of Konoha in the village?" said Shimura Danzo angrily. Seeing this, Udatane Kaharu and Mitomen En did not speak. It was obvious that these 2 old comrades wanted to wait and see. Danzo snorted in dissatisfaction, but did not say anything else. Sarutobi Hiruzen heard Danzo questioning him like this, and for a moment his old face was a little embarrassed and said gloomily, "Danzo, don't forget that I am the Hokage. HMPH, Hiruzen, you will regret it," Danzo said with an ugly expression on his face as if he had urinated. Sarutobi Hiruzen saw Danzo surrender, his face was a little better, and then he said, "Everyone should ignore Minato for now, and wait and see what happens. I believe everyone has seen it." Tanin Kaharu and Mitomen En nodded quickly, and then said, "You should have seen that Minato's personality has changed to a certain extent. I don't know if he will attack you." Danzo snorted coldly, and Sarutobi Hiruzen stared at Shimura Danzo with his old eyes, and then he said that Danzo didn't let you spread Naruto's identity back then, but you didn't listen. Now Minato is back, guess what he will think? Danzo looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had a gloomy look and a cold face, and suddenly laughed, and the laughter gradually disappeared. Sarutobi Hiruzen saw Shimura Danzo burst into laughter, and said with a gloomy face, "Danzo, what are you laughing at?" Then Danzo looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and said, "I laugh at your shamelessness, you are really worthy of it, Hiruzen, you are really both a boss and a boss." Quote, "Hiruzen, don't think I don't know. If you hadn't done it deliberately, Uzumaki Naruto's identity would never have been spread, and he wouldn't have been praised as a demon fox by the common people. After all, you are the strongest Hokage in Konoha's history. Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki trust you very much. They entrusted their only child to you. But you, how did you do it? You want to be the only light in Uzumaki Naruto's heart, you not only occupied the house that Minato and his wife left for Uzumaki Naruto. Even Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, the commissions for the tasks they have done over the years, have been plundered by you." Danzo's words can be said to be true to his sadness over the years and Sarutobi Hiruzen's hypocrisy. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at him, and Shimura Danzo's eyes were a little surprised. He didn't expect that his old friend had such an IQ. Shimura Danzo looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes, and felt a little wrong in his heart and continued, "What is that look in your eyes?" Quote, then Sarutobi Hiruzen said, "I just didn't expect you to be able to guess some of my thoughts." Danzo secretly complained when he heard this. "We have been classmates and old comrades for decades. How could I not know some of your thoughts?" Then Sarutobi Hiruzen continued, "Danzo will give you a tip, don't investigate privately or cause trouble for Minato." Quote, Danzo snorted coldly when he heard this, and left without saying anything. Seeing this, Kaharu Utane, who was standing by, greeted Mito Kato-en and left as well. Only Sarutobi Hiruzen was left in the compound. Minato brought Uzumaki Naruto and Rukia home, only to find that he had no money. Although his house was coming back, he had no money now. What should he do? It seems that he has to find a chance to get back the rewards for the tasks done by his predecessor from the old man of the third generation. I remember that he seemed to have done several S-level tasks, and there were countless A-level tasks. I actually have no money now, which really fulfilled the words of the sledgehammer player in the previous life game. A man with money is a man, and a man without money is hard to be a man. Quote. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I used the Flying Thunder God technique to get 100,000 Ryo in the Hokage's office. I saw the civilians in Konoha looking at me with fear on the street, but Minato didn't care. He went into the store, bought some vegetables and fruits, and went back. After dinner, Minato fell into deep thought. There were only 2 rooms in the 3-person room. Minato smiled at Uzumaki Naruto, who smiled and greeted the 2 of them. Goodbye, Dad. Goodbye, Sister Rukia. Then he ran outside. Seeing this, Rukia also waved at Naruto. Rukia blinked her beautiful eyes at Minato and smiled and said, Brother Minato, I'm going to rest first. See you tomorrow. Minato smiled and went back to his room. Quote. The next morning, Minato woke up and put on his clothes, and saw Rukia coming out of the kitchen with 4 fried eggs and 2 slices of ham. Then he said to Minato, Brother Minato, please sit down first. I will fetch the porridge in the kitchen. Quote. Minato looked at the food in front of him and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Isn't this the life he wanted in his previous life? A wife, children and a warm bed, don't they all have it now? It's a pity that he traveled through time too late and didn't experience the first-hand experience of Uzumaki Kushina. Thinking of this, he looked at Rukia who was holding eggs for him, and an evil thought arose in his heart. Seeing this, Minato quickly stopped and calmed his mind. After a hurried breakfast, he performed Flying Thunder God and arrived at the door of the Hokage's office. As soon as he walked into the Hokage's office, he saw Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo and others. Konoha F4 was sitting there calmly. Sarutobi Hiruzen sat on the first Hokage throne. 2 elderly men and women were already sitting on both sides of the sofa. There was also an old man with bandages all over his body and a cane at the door. Seeing this scene, Minato couldn't help but curse inwardly, what a bunch of old people. Chapter 31. As soon as Minato walked into the Hokage's office, he heard a sarcastic voice. Minato, do you know the rules? And who did you just call an old man? When Minato heard this, he showed a warm smile on his face and waved his hand, saying, Elder Yutain, don't misunderstand me. Before Yutain Kaharu could breathe a sigh of relief, he heard Minato's faint voice. I'm not talking about you, I'm saying that everyone here is a bunch of old men. As Minato said this sentence with a smile, the Hokage's office fell into silence. At this time, a roar sounded, You fool, do you know what you are saying? It was the silent Mitoman Yan who spoke. Minato glanced at him, and it was this glance that made him feel endless chill. Feeling Minato's gaze, Mitoman Yan stopped talking. Then Sarutobi Hiruzen said with a gloomy face, Minato, do you still know what rules are? Minato's face suddenly darkened when he heard this, and then he slowly said. Rules, from now on my rules are rules, whoever agrees or disagrees. Minato's cold eyes slowly fell on Sarutobi Hiruzen and the others. When Yutain Kaharu was about to speak, she was stopped by Mito Kato En beside her, and her eyes signaled not to be impulsive. At this time, Yutain Kaharu reacted and realized that she was impulsive. Turning to look at Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo beside them, they saw that their faces were extremely gloomy. The eyes looking at Namikaze Minato were mixed with a trace of anger, and then he suppressed the anger in his heart and said. Minato, you are wrong, you know that I am not against you being Hokage, but there are other reasons. Think about it, you haven't been a Hokage for so many years, and some things may have been almost forgotten. After the 4 people's remarks, Minato saw that these 4 guys were all his enemies. But Minato didn't care, after all, these guys were already in his expectations, right? Speaking of this old guy Shimura Danzo, how can he be so patient? When reading other Naruto fan fictions, this is a man who has been struggling to become Hokage all his life. It can be said that he is a little smart, the kind of wise but foolish, otherwise he would not have died without becoming Hokage. It can be said that this guy deserves the title of the Dark of the Ninja World, right? It can be said that there is no real villain in Naruto, Danzo is definitely a villain, and Danzo has the final say on whether the ninja world is in chaos or not. In addition, there is this guy Obito. To put it nicely, he is the most affectionate in the ninja world, and to put it bluntly, he is a dead-licking dog. He killed his teacher for a woman. What a fool. But I won't talk about Uchiha Itachi, a beast who killed his father and mother. I really don't know why anyone likes such a person when I read novels in my previous life, which makes Minato very confused. At this time, the system's voice sounded. The sign in target Shimura Danzo was found. Do you want to sign in? Minato was delighted when he heard this and hurriedly said, sign in. Ding. Sign in successfully and get the Mangekyo Sharingan Koto Amatsukami. Minato listened to the somewhat mechanical busy tone of the system. Minato was delighted when he heard it. Mangekyo Sharingan, the most important thing is Koto Amatsukami. This is the strongest illusion in Naruto. As the system's voice sounded, Minato felt a little stinging in his eyes and then became warm. Because the system's cover, Konoha F4 did not find the abnormality in Minato's eyes. This power came and went quickly. Minato slowly opened his eyes and slowly looked at Shimura Danzo, showing a warm and slow smile. He couldn't help but sigh that this Danzo and the third Hokage really can't be killed. After all, who can refuse two experienced babies? However, the two old guys, Udatane Kaharu and Mito Minen, didn't even provide him with any rewards. How can this be? In this case, I have to find a chance to deal with these two guys, otherwise they will hang around in front of me every day, which is disgusting. Danzo saw Minato smiling at him, and couldn't help but secretly thought. Could this guy have noticed me? I didn't take the initiative to provoke him. Suddenly Danzo remembered that he asked his men to invite Minato Namikaze to his route yesterday to discuss important matters. Unexpectedly, the people under his command were a bunch of good-for-nothings. Not only did he fail to invite them, but he also offended them. Danzo is not stupid, otherwise he would not have asked the root ninjas to monitor the battle between the Konoha village ninjas and the one-tailed Shukaku yesterday. It happened that he also discovered the scene of Minato Namikaze suppressing the one-tailed Shukaku. After listening to the report from his men, Danzo was immediately shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. At least he could not suppress the one-tailed Shukaku, even the weakest-tailed beast. It's just that Danzo doesn't. What we know is that the reason why he knows so much is because these are what Minato wants him to know. So Danzo, who has always been stubborn, did not rashly bark at Minato. After all, he still wants to be Hokage. But I also hope that Namikaze Minato and Sarutobi Hiruzen will fight each other and both will be hurt, and I will reap the benefits in the end. After a long time, Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed, but we must always follow. Minato smiled slightly when he heard this. Of course, this is possible. After all, can the third-generation Hokage be the elder of Konoha? Is Konoha F4 complete in this way? But what they don't know is that the reason why Minato asked them to listen is just to listen. After finishing speaking, Minato glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen and said, "Third generation sir, I hope you can abide by what I said. After all, I am alone now." Minato did not wait for Sarutobi Hiruzen to speak and continued, "You still have your own clansmen. I know you will definitely not care about what I say." Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was extremely gloomy when he heard this. He knew that Minato was threatening him. Just like what Minato said at the beginning, there was only one voice in Konoha, and that was him, Namikaze Minato. But Sarutobi Hiruzen still asked unwillingly, "Minato, what do you want to do?" Minato looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen without any emotion, which made Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart tighten for no reason. Namikaze Minato saw that this old man was still pretending to be crazy and stupid, and he didn't know why, so he said directly, "You don't want the Sarutobi clan to be exterminated." Then he said, "By the way, it seems that your son's girlfriend is also good-looking. It seems that her name is Yuhi Kurenai." Sarutobi Hiruzen heard this, his face turned pale and he said, "Minato, are you serious?" Minato turned around and glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen and said, "Don't make me sound like a bad guy. After all, I am the fourth Hokage of Konoha, and the survival of the Sarutobi clan depends on your decision. Of course, you can also attack me, and bet on whether I can kill all of you present." As he spoke, Minato released a terrifying murderous intent that pressed towards everyone present. Everyone felt this murderous intent like a sea of corpses and blood, and their faces turned pale, and they were shocked in their hearts. How many people did Minato kill? The reason why Minato did not use chakra was because he did not want to destroy this place. After all, this place will be his territory in the future. Then Minato said, "What should be done about these two guys, Udane Kaharu and Mito Monan, who insulted the Hokage?" Sarutobi Hiruzen heard this, but because of Minato Namikaze, he did not speak out the terrifying murderous intent that he had just released. Hearing Minato say that again, Kaharu Udatane and Mitoman could no longer sit still and yelled, "What are you talking about, you little fool?" Then Minato flashed in front of the two and bumped his fists with them. Before they could react, they flew backwards and crashed into the street. The huge explosion attracted countless civilians and Anbu ninjas from Konoha, and Kakashi and Naruto Uzumaki also rushed over. Seeing the two elders of Konoha lying on the ground, they were all surprised and didn't understand what happened. They were very surprised. At this time, everyone saw a golden flash appear in front of everyone. Only then did the civilians and Anbu ninjas react that it was the fourth Hokage who made the move. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen rushed over and said, "Minato, stop it." Then Shimura Danzo also rushed over and said, "Everyone is for Konoha." Namikaze Minato smiled slightly when he heard this. Sarutobi Hiruzen saw his words and made Minato stop his hand and then said, "Minato, you know that Menyon and Shaochun are the elders of Konoha and are responsible for Konoha's political affairs, so you can't do anything to them." When Minato heard Sarutobi Hiruzen say this, he laughed out loud. Ha ha, ha ha. The civilians and Anbu ninjas around him didn't understand why Namikaze Minato laughed. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was very ugly when he heard this. This was the second time that Minato laughed at him. And in front of so many Konoha civilians and Anbu ninjas, he made himself embarrassed, but fortunately he was a ninja bear. He could still withstand this mockery. He took a deep breath and his chest rose and fell violently, suppressing the anger in his heart. Then he said, "What are you laughing at?" Minato gradually stopped. Hearing what Sarutobi Hiruzen said, Minato was a little suspicious. Then he looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and said, "So what you mean is that they need to be reused so they can't be killed? Then if someone makes a big mistake, can they be killed?" Sarutobi Hiruzen heard this and asked with a gloomy face, "What big mistake?" Hearing this, Minato touched his chin with one hand and said, "For example, I follow the example of the third Hokage and kill all the Hyuga clan members with the elders of Konoha village." Without waiting for Sarutobi Hiruzen to speak, he continued, "In that case, am I guilty of a heinous crime and should I die?" Everyone was shocked when they heard what Minato said, and their faces showed surprise. The Hyuga clan members on the side were frightened when they heard what Minato said. Many people were horrified and had expressions of fear on their faces. Some were from the Yamanaka clan, some were from the Aburame clan. Nara, Utane, suddenly said, Minato changed the subject, and Sarutobi the Uchiha clan and the Shimura clan. Every family member around who was named by Minato was shocked, not knowing what Minato meant. Then Minato released a shocking news. "If I am killed, the Sarutobi clan should have nothing to do with it. After all, you old guys killed the Uchiha clan." As Namikaze Minato told the truth about the destruction of the Uchiha clan, the civilian ninjas and civilians of Konoha village began to discuss it. Is this true? Didn't the Uchiha clan get killed by the filial son Uchiha Itachi? Yes, I didn't think about it carefully at the time, but now I think about it, it seems to be true. Even if Uchiha Itachi is so powerful, it is impossible for him to destroy the Uchiha clan. Yes, we didn't think about it carefully at that time, but now it's true. No matter how powerful Uchiha Itachi is, it's impossible for him to kill the entire Uchiha clan by himself. The civilians of Konoha village began to discuss quietly below. And what the fourth Hokage said just now, could it be that everyone was talking and whispering below, and they came to a chilling conclusion in their hearts, that is, the Uchiha clan was exterminated by the third Hokage and the elders. How else to explain that although Uchiha Itachi is a genius of the Uchiha clan, it is impossible for him to exterminate the Uchiha clan by himself? After all, the Uchiha clan has thousands of people. Not to mention the Uchiha clan, there are also veteran elite Jonin, Uchiha Fugaku and the elders of 2 elite Jonin, and so many elite ninjas. If the 3rd Hokage and the Konoha elders take action, it is not certain. After all, the 3rd Hokage is the strongest Hokage in history. Listening to the whispers of Konoha civilians and Anbu ninjas, and the topics they talked about, Sarutobi Hiruzen's bottom line has been touched, and he must not let this news spread. In the past, it felt good to hear Konoha civilians call themselves the strongest Hokage in history, and this result was also intentional by him. For his influence in Konoha, even the textbooks were modified by himself to become the author of the book, that is, the strongest Hokage in history, Sarutobi Hiruzen. In this way, he spread his will of fire. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen's cold voice sounded, and his anger emerged, but it did not mean that the other party would admit it casually. Then he said in a deep voice, "Everything the Hokage did was for Konoha." As this sentence fell, Danzo, who had been silent, also spoke. Hiruzen was right. Everything my roots did was for Konoha. Minato looked at Danzo, who was speaking with some surprise. He did not expect the one-armed bandaged man to speak. Then he said, "Minato, you know that each family is part of Konoha. They are indispensable, and every excellent ninja is also indispensable." Minato was very disdainful when he heard this, and looked at the 3rd-generation Hokage and said, "Oh, really?" Quote, Minato looked very casual when he heard what Sarutobi Hiruzen said. He turned to look at the people around him, and then looked at Kakashi and others. Uchiha Sasuke was still lost in thought because of what Minato Namikaze had just said. Then Minato said, "Haha, really, did you use your brain when you said that?" Quote, "Have you considered the Uchiha clan? Have you considered the Senju clan? Are you worthy of me, Kushina? Are you worthy of our trust in you? It's indispensable." Minato's words made Sarutobi Hiruzen's old face blush. Hearing Minato's words, Naruto was very puzzled. Why did his father keep nagging him? He also heard what his parents said in the sealed space. But didn't the 3rd Hokage give him living expenses every month? What Naruto didn't know was that because of the influence of Ashura Chakra, Naruto's negative emotions and hatred were so weak. Otherwise, if it was a normal person, he would have turned black if he was treated like this. Then Sasuke in the crowd was shocked when he heard what Namikaze Minato said, and then anxiously said, "Hokage, are these all true?" Minato glanced at him and said, "I said that the destruction of the Uchiha clan was caused by the Konoha high-level officials." Quote, "Uchiha Itachi was just a scapegoat, but he really deserved to die. He killed his parents and the whole clan, turning you from the 2nd young master of the Uchiha clan into an orphan, all for the purpose of making you hate him and gaining powerful strength." Due to the violent emotional fluctuations, Uchiha Sasuke's dark pupils turned into scarlet 2 Magatama Sharingan, which spun wildly in his eyes and gradually turned into 3 Magatama. Minato was a little surprised to see this. He didn't expect that what he said would actually make Uchiha Sasuke open the 3 Magatama Sharingan. Minato was thinking what would happen if he let Uchiha Sasuke open the Mangekyo Sharingan or lent the power of the 9 tails to Uchiha Sasuke when they fought a brotherly war. It should be very interesting. Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help it anymore. "Minato, what nonsense are you talking about? As the Hokage of Konoha village, how could I possibly assist the S-rank rebel Uchiha Itachi?" And when he spoke, he showed an angry expression on his face. What's going on? If he is determined to die by Minato, how can this Hokage end? Besides, Uchiha Itachi didn't know what was wrong with him. He destroyed Uchiha and wanted to find the murderer in us. What does it have to do with the Konoha high-level officials? You should go find Uchiha Itachi. At this time, Shimura Danzo, who was secretly observing from the side, also stood up and said, "I don't know why you said that the demise of the Uchiha clan is related to us, but I tell you, everything I and Hiruzen did was for Konoha. Even if you are the 4th-generation Hokage of Konoha, you have to give an explanation if you say that the Konoha elders exterminated the Uchiha clan without any evidence." At this time, Kakashi in the crowd frowned and thought, how did Minato know after being dead for so many years? Kakashi couldn't figure out how his teacher knew these unknown secrets, but he didn't think of asking Minato. Because everyone has their own secrets. Although the current teacher looks sunny and handsome like before, he gives people a feeling of being the only one. The previous teacher would not say such words. Naruto looked at his father and didn't understand what Minato Namikaze was going to do, but he didn't say much. Asuma's face was gloomy when he saw this, but he didn't dare to speak casually, and didn't see the two Hokage advisors of Konoha. I don't know what happened, and I was beaten by Minato Namikaze and lay on the ground, and I don't know whether I am dead or alive. Didn't you see that he hasn't been sent to the ninja hospital yet? I only dared to look at Minato not far away with angry eyes. If eyes can kill, Minato doesn't know how many times he has died. Even if Minato knew, he wouldn't care. After all, as Uchiha Madara said, there is no such thing as adults and children. In fact, what he didn't know was, if it wasn't for Minato Namikaze, who wanted to get rewards and points from Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo, the two old men would have been sent to the Pure Land to meet the Six Paths Sage by Minato long ago, so it would be their turn to complain here. Suddenly Minato thought that they couldn't die so easily, and they should be disgraced and despised by all the ninjas in the village, starting with the death of Konoha White Fang Hatake Tsukumo. As the leader of the route, Danzo helped Sarutobi Hiruzen deal with some things that were not allowed to be seen in the dark. The old man with a cane and bandages on his body was Shimura Danzo. Ordinary people could not see Danzo on weekdays, so everyone only knew that there was one person who protected the village, and the death of Hatake Tsukumo was caused by the rumors created by Shimura Danzo. Minato saw that Danzo dared to speak and thought, let you, a fellow, also taste the harm of the rumors of the Konoha civilians. Minato pressed his hand and said, everyone be quiet. I know that everyone is a little confused about my protection of Uzumaki Naruto this morning. I will tell you the reason later. The Konoha civilians looked at each other and started to discuss. Soon, everyone said to Minato, we originally intended, the fourth Hokage. Minato smiled slightly when he heard it. By the way, let me introduce you to everyone. Namikaze Minato said to the Konoha civilians. The leader of the route, Shimura Danzo, is responsible for training ruthless assassination ninjas, and the ninjas under his command can disobey the orders of the Hokage and belong to the private army of the route leader, Shimura Danzo. Seeing that everyone was whispering, Minato smiled slightly and pressed his hands down to signal everyone to be quiet. Seeing this, everyone stopped discussing and looked at Minato Namikaze, expecting the Hokage to tell them some unknown secrets. Minato certainly didn't know what everyone was thinking. If he knew, he would definitely say, everyone is really smart. The ninjas of the route are all ruthless tools. No, they are ruthless killing machines, without any emotions. And in order to control these ninjas of the route, Shimura Danzo sealed them with the seal of the tongue. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Minato continued, first, it is convenient to control and prevent the subordinates from betraying and revealing the secrets of Shimura Danzo. Anyone who wants to reveal Shimura Danzo will be quickly killed by the seal of the tongue to prevent the secret from being leaked, so it is normal that you don't know him. Everyone took a breath when they heard that there was such a department. There is another department like this. Killing machine without emotions. Fortunately, the fourth generation Hokage told us, otherwise we really didn't know there was such a department. But should such a department exist, no information can be disclosed. As long as the name of Shimura Danzo is mentioned, one will die directly. As Minato said these words, everyone began to discuss frantically. After all, this kind of thing is a bit difficult for the civilians of Konoha to accept. Danzo listened to everyone talking about him behind his back, and he couldn't help but feel angry and cursed in his heart. What a bunch of stupid idiots. Just because Minato said a few words, these guys started talking about themselves. Shimura Danzo saw that everything he did would be told by Minato Namikaze, so he said in a deep voice. After all, the route is in the dark to protect Konoha. Some things are not suitable to be handled, so the route needs to deal with some things that are not in the light. Everything I do is for Konoha. Turning his head to look at Minato Namikaze opposite him, Danzo showed a cold expression and said indifferently. Whether it is Minato Namikaze has not been confirmed yet. Quote, Golden Flash Minato Namikaze is the fourth Hokage of Konoha, but he died in the Nine Tails Rebellion more than 10 years ago. This is something everyone knows, so you are definitely not Minato Namikaze. This time Orochimaru joined forces with the Sand Village to attack Konoha, and Minato Namikaze was indeed reborn in Orochimaru's forbidden technique, but you did not leave Orochimaru behind after you were resurrected. How do you explain this? Minato smiled slightly when he heard this, and didn't care about what Danzo said. He just wanted to ruin their reputation. It didn't matter if they couldn't be ruined. At most, he would just kill them all. Killing them is a little troublesome, but it's not a big deal. Shimura Danzo said this and looked at Minato Namikaze opposite him. Minato looked at him indifferently. Shimura Danzo wanted to see what Minato would do after he said this. Seeing this, Danzo continued, "You haven't explained how you were resurrected. And as for what you said about the destruction of the Uchiha clan, it was done by the Konoha elders, which is even more nonsense. The destruction of the Uchiha clan was caused by the eldest son of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Itachi, 6 years ago. What does it have to do with us? Besides, this happened 6 years ago. How did you know about it? If I remember correctly, you seem to have been dead for more than 10 years. Danzo stared at Minato Namikaze, as if he was afraid that Minato would run away. You didn't know about this at all. How did you know all this? Before you let Orochimaru escape, I doubted whether you were the 4th Hokage of Konoha. Minato had to admit that the old guy Danzo was still quite capable. He explained the matter in a few words and made sense. The civilians started to whisper again. Minato seemed to hear that everyone was talking about why the 4th Hokage defeated Orochimaru and didn't kill him. He also let Orochimaru escape. In addition, the genocide of the Uchiha clan happened a few years ago. How did the 4th Hokage know about it? You know, the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze had already died at that time. How did he know about the process? This sentence is the biggest loophole. However, Minato did not intend to explain, because there was a bombshell that was not revealed later. Danzo looked at Minato Namikaze, without any panic, and his heart sank. Danzo was very afraid of Minato Namikaze's power, especially after hearing his subordinates report that Minato Namikaze drove away Shukaku. Danzo was even more afraid. Because of the things he did with Sarutobi Hiruzen, if Sarutobi Hiruzen fell, it would be uncertain whether Shimura Danzo would still have such great power, so Shimura Danzo had to seize this opportunity and not let Minato become Hokage again. At this time, Kakashi saw this and watched his teacher being discussed by everyone. Kakashi was very entangled, not knowing whether to help the village or his teacher. Looking back on the years, he lived in a daze, thinking of his father, thinking of Rin, thinking of his best friend Obito, thinking of his teacher's wife Uzumaki Kushina. Kakashi secretly decided that he must help his teacher this time. Kaka slowly walked out of the crowd, walked in front of Minato and looked at everyone and said, "Don't be confused, because I told Minato about this matter. On the eve of the genocide, I was also sent out to kill the Uchiha clan, but in the end I was just watching and didn't hurt anyone in the Uchiha clan." Danzo's heart sank when he heard this, and he looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen beside him, hoping to give himself a reasonable explanation. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face changed drastically when he heard this, and he shouted, "Kakashi, do you know what you are talking about? When did I ask you to carry out such a mission?" Quote. Minato Namikaze was slightly stunned when he heard this, and then he reacted and nodded slightly to Kakashi, indicating that he could leave. Kakashi sighed helplessly when he saw this, and didn't understand why he was always prevented from speaking. Minato Namikaze turned his head and looked at Uchiha Sasuke in the crowd. "You only know that it was Uchiha Itachi who exterminated the clan, and you also know that what I just told you was that it was the Konoha elders group who assisted in the extermination of the clan, but it was Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo who gave the order." Sarutobi Hiruzen cursed in his heart, "Minato, you are really a fool." Minato ignored Sarutobi Hiruzen's roar, but continued to say to the civilians of Konoha village, "Do you know the reason why the Uchiha clan was exterminated?" Everyone thought for a while after hearing this and then said, "It was not Uchiha Itachi who went crazy and massacred the Uchiha clan." Quote. After hearing this, Minato slowly spoke, "All this is a conspiracy of the Konoha high-level officials. They are afraid of the power of the Uchiha clan. You don't know that the Uchiha clan's 3 Magatama Sharingan will open the Mangekyo Sharingan as long as they experience the death of their relatives. They are afraid of the Uchiha clan and are afraid that the second Shira of the ninja world, Uchiha Madara, will appear." Then Namikaze Minato said, Do you know why the Konoha White Fang Hatake Sakumo from our Konoha village failed in his mission? Do you think that ninjas who fail to complete their missions are wastes? Everyone started to discuss after hearing this. Sarutobi Hiruzen on the side seeing this, his face was terribly gloomy. He didn't expect Minato to know so much. Then Minato changed the subject and said, a ninja who fails to complete the mission is a waste, but a ninja who doesn't cherish his partners is even worse than a waste. Minato looked at everyone's emotions and continued. When Hatake Sakumo went on a mission, it was our third Hokage and Shimura Danzo who leaked Hatake Sakumo's whereabouts. It can be said that Hatake Sakumo was killed by the two of them. He is a hero of Konoha. Everyone took a deep breath and said in confusion. Didn't Hatake Sakumo fail in his mission and commit suicide because he was too ashamed to live anymore? Minato's warm smile gradually disappeared, and he said in a cold voice. It was you who really killed Hatake Sakumo, the hero of Konoha, with your malicious abuse and your cold words. He performed so many missions for the village that were close to death. Remember during the Second Ninja World War, Hatake Sakumo made a name for himself with a short sword and the unpredictable Hatake swordsmanship. He even won the title of Konoha White Fang in the ninja world, and killed enemies who were terrified. It was even rumored that they could give up their missions when they met Konoha White Fang. It can be seen how much influence White Fang had. He was such a powerful person who made great achievements in the Second Ninja World War. He died under the calculations of Sarutobi Hiruzen and the Konoha elders, because Hatake Sakumo was not a Hokage, but because of his outstanding military exploits. Sarutobi Hiruzen had no choice but to give the half-sleeved Hokage shirt representing the Hokage to Hatake Sakumo. Everyone with a discerning eye knew that Hatake Sakumo might be the next candidate for the Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen is now at the peak of his life, so how could he give up the power of the Hokage, even if he wanted to train the Hokage? He also had to be easy to control, and Konoha and even Sarutobi Hiruzen could risk his life to support a puppet Hokage. In this way, Sarutobi Hiruzen could retreat behind the scenes, and the elders were the same, so they designed to frame Hatake Sakumo and took the opportunity to suppress Hatake Sakumo's prestige. Unexpectedly, Hatake Sakumo, who could not bear the rumors, committed suicide in his own home with his own White Fang short blade. This made Sarutobi Hiruzen feel a little regretful in his heart while he breathed a sigh of relief, because Konoha lost a cage-level strongman, which was not conducive to deterring other villages. Asshole, Minato, do you know that it was me who pushed you to the position of Hokage against all odds? You are so ungrateful for slandering me. Sarutobi Hiruzen could no longer hold back and cursed at Minato. Upon hearing this, Namikaze Minato showed a mocking smile on his face and his voice gradually turned colder. You old thing, you still have the nerve to say that you let me be the Hokage back then, wasn't it because I was young and easy to control? Being the Hokage of Konoha village in public, I am actually a puppet of your Konoha high-level officials in secret. In the Third Ninja World War, I made a name for myself in the ninja world as the Golden Flash, and defeated the AB combination of the Hidden Cloud Village on the battlefield of the Hidden Cloud Village. The entire battlefield was won. In order to cover the evacuation of the younger generation of his own village, the third generation of Raikage of the Hidden Cloud Village fought with the army of the Hidden Rock Village for 3 days and 3 nights, and finally died of exhaustion. And you, Sarutobi Hiruzen, as the third Hokage of Konoha village, you don't lead everyone in battle and fight with other ninja villages, you just puff on your pipe in the back. You even call yourself to be in charge of the back, so you can be in charge of the back. What about Utatane Kaharu, Mitomen and Shimura Danzo? What about those old guys? Oh, no, I'm wrong. Danzo seems to have gone to the battlefields of the Wind Country and the Wave Country to serve as the commander, which is really a joke. If it weren't for Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas, assisting together, it might really be ruined by Shimura Danzo, that old guy. Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little embarrassed when he heard this. It's just nonsense, how did you know these things? Listening to the discussions of the crowd, Sarutobi Hiruzen cursed in his heart, these guys are really brainless. Danzo Shimura, who also had a gloomy face, came out and said, Hiruzen is not the real Minato at all, or someone else used the transformation technique to transform him. At this time, a teasing voice came, tisk tisk, Sarutobi Hiruzen, you are a professor of ninjutsu. The owner of this voice was Minato Namikaze. The Flying Thunder God technique, except for the dead second Hokage Senju Tobirama, is me, Minato Namikaze. You said I was an imposter, what a joke. Besides, this is what you just said. As he said this, the chakra on his right hand gathered, and a chakra ball with the sound of wind was formed, which was the Rasengan. Then Minato looked at the crowd and said, you should all be familiar with it. Rasengan. Everyone saw this. This is the A-level ninjutsu Rasengan created by the 4th Hokage. This is clearly the 4th Hokage. But why did the 3rd Hokage say that the 4th Hokage was an imposter? Wouldn't it be better if the 4th Hokage came back? This will make our Konoha village stronger, and we should be happy. At this time, the heads of the various families began to become active, and everyone understood this. It's a game. It also concerns the interests of each family, yes, the team, the 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato, or the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen and the elders. Everyone thought of what Minato had just said, the hero of Konoha village, Hitaki Sakumo, and the exterminated Uchiha clan, and their eyes looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen changed slightly. It seems that this amiable, 3rd-generation Hokage is not as friendly as he remembered, but rather so strange. Minato cleared his throat when he saw this, and was about to continue. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo on the side, cursed in their hearts. Then they exchanged glances. The two comrades in arms and best friends for many years knew each other's thoughts with just a glance, and then attacked Minato together. Fire style. Great fireball technique. Wind style. Vacuum ball. Everyone exclaimed, be careful, Hokage. Minato had already noticed the two's little tricks, but he just hadn't exposed them. Now the two of them actually attacked him together, and he added another crime of openly attacking the Hokage. Everyone saw Minato's indifferent and handsome face, with a smile on his face, and stretched out his hand, chanting. The 81st duplication technique. Then the two's attacks collided with Minato's duplication technique and made a loud noise, and then the 616th duplication technique, light prison of staff. In an instant, 12 golden light pieces flew out from Minato Namikaze's right hand and flew towards the attacking Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen. The two were shocked to see this and quickly waved their weapons in their hands, trying to break the light pieces flying towards them, but they didn't expect that the light pieces were not martial and disappeared in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Hiruzen was shocked to see this, and drops of cold sweat ran down his wrinkled old face. He looked around, alert to the surroundings and afraid that the light pieces would appear again. At this time, Shimura Danzo's voice sounded. Hiruzen, be careful behind you. I saw a fragment directly hit Sarutobi Hiruzen, and as Sarutobi Hiruzen was hit, all other parts of his body were hit and controlled. In an instant, because Shimura Danzo was distracted for a moment, his hands and feet were bound by 6 light pieces, and Minato saw that both of them were controlled. Clapping his hands, Uzumaki Naruto, who had been in the crowd, wanted to ask Minato Namikaze why he did that, but I didn't care anymore. Of course, when Naruto was in the sealed space, the Nine Tails had already told him about the insults he had suffered over the years, and the scenes of him being treated as a demon fox by the civilians of Konoha village were all played to Uzumaki Kushina in the form of a picture gathered by the Nine Tails using chakra. This also made Kushina furious, and she especially told Minato to teach Sarutobi Hiruzen, the 3rd-generation old man, a lesson for daring to treat her precious son like that. Concealing her son's identity and spreading rumors that her son Uzumaki Naruto was a 9-tailed demon fox and a monster, made the civilians of Konoha village hate their son and even refused to buy food for their son. There was no way for Naruto, who was only 5 years old, to pick up unwanted or expired food from the trash can, and he usually drank expired milk. Whenever she thought of this, Uzumaki Kushina felt more distressed, and her resentment towards the 3rd Hokage gradually turned into hatred. She couldn't help but curse in the sealed space. This old thing, not only did he not help Naruto get rid of his identity as a demon fox, but he also embezzled the rewards for the missions that he and Minato had done for so many years. The house where he and Minato lived also became the property of the Sarutobi clan. The Nine Tails in the sealed space beside him was very excited to perceive everything that happened outside through Naruto's perspective, because the Nine Tails knew that there was a good show to watch, and then he said to the extremely angry Kushina beside him. Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen of Konoha Village are really two idiots and villains. Do you know that many talented ninjas in Konoha Village died at the hands of these two old guys? What did you say? Kushina shouted out loudly. Why are you yelling so loudly? I'm not deaf. The Nine Tails said to Uzumaki Kushina beside him unhappily. After hearing this, Kushina realized that she had lost her composure just now, and quickly said to the Nine Tails. Sorry, Nine Tails, I just lost my composure when I heard what you said just now, so go on. The Nine Tails snorted proudly and thought to herself. If it weren't for the resurrection of that fool Minato, and that unknown ninjutsu, thinking about being covered by that black coffin, as the head of the tailed beast, she was suppressed and unable to move at all, and there was also the attack that hurt her soul, just thinking about it made the fox shudder. I don't know how Minato became so strong. I thought Hashirama Senju and Uchiha Madara were dead. As long as I go out of the sealed space, I can let myself roam freely in the huge ninja world, and no one can catch me anymore, but I didn't expect the slap in the face to come so quickly. Now there is another Namikaze Minato. I can feel that this guy didn't use his full strength, and I was killed in seconds. What's the point of fighting? In an instant, the Nine Tails felt that staying in the sealed space was not bad, so I didn't want to go out so much. Then he looked at Kushina and said, since you want to hear it, let me tell you. As the Nine Tails recounted the past years, the usually carefree Uzumaki Kushina was surprisingly quiet. Seeing this, the Nine Tails saw that Kushina was still so calm, and couldn't help but ask with some worry. Are you okay? In fact, in addition to being a little afraid of Minato Namikaze, the Nine Tails was more concerned about her. After all, Uzumaki Kushina was also the Nine Tails' previous Jinchuriki. Uzumaki Kushina smiled reluctantly and said with a sad voice. I just didn't expect that Makoto and Uchiha Fugaku were already dead, and the Uchiha clan was exterminated. The culprit of all this turned out to be Makoto's eldest son, Uchiha Itachi, the genius boy of the Uchiha clan. This is really a case of knowing a person's face but not his heart. Who would have thought that the well-behaved and sensible Uchiha Itachi would do such a beastly thing as killing his father and mother and slaughtering the entire clan when he grew up? Kushina raised her head and looked at the Nine Tails and said, do you know that when Juwei died in your hands, I actually regretted it because I wanted to be with my son and I didn't want to die, but it was too late. Juwei said slowly. If I return to your body. Shinai glanced at Juwei and said. You still have a face to say. At that time, the young Jujian chakra was printed into your body, and the special blood of your whirlpool tribe may not be able to survive. Speaking of the Nine Tails, here is also a meal. It was the consciousness of fire. In his heart, the village was the first one in Naruto, but it was just a gift. Listening to Uzumaki Kushina's words, Kyuubi was surprised. He didn't expect Uzumaki Kushina to say that, because Kushina and Minato had a very deep relationship, and it was not an exaggeration to say that they would never change until death. But Uzumaki Kushina actually said that, but it was true. If it wasn't so, at least one of Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina could have survived the night of the Nine-Tailed. Uzumaki Kushina looked at the current Minato and had an answer in her heart, but she couldn't confirm whether this was Minato. However, Uzumaki Kushina didn't tell Kyuubi these words. She glanced at the huge Kyuubi beside her and said, we'll know if we'll see. Kyuubi didn't say anything more after hearing that. The huge head lay on the ground of the sealed space. He was also very confused and didn't know that Uzumaki Kushina actually had such a side, but Kyuubi didn't know that Uzumaki Kushina had been ridiculed by others since she was a child. But in comparison, she still had Grandma Mito and Sister Tsunade, and then there was Minato, the person she liked. But seeing her son being treated inhumanely and not getting the treatment he deserved, Uzumaki Kushina completely gave up on the village and had resentment, which was why she said that. A pair of lantern-sized eyes watched the chakra gather into a picture, and looked at Kushina, who was concentrating on the picture and shook her head slightly. The two of them were watching the battle between Minato, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo. Kushina was so excited that her fists clenched, and she shouted in the sealed space. Minato, beat them hard for me. Kyuubi on the side nodded slightly at this scene, and said to himself, this is the Uzumaki Kushina I know, carefree and fierce. Then he also looked at the screen in the void and saw the unprinted ninjutsu used by Minato to block the tailed beast ball. A trace of fear flashed in Kyuubi's eyes, and then he said to Uzumaki Kushina next to him. Don't worry, these two idiots can't hurt Minato at all. Then Minato used another unmarked ninjutsu to control Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen. In the sealed space, the man and the fox both showed a thoughtful look, and they felt happy when they saw the two people being bound. Then they saw Minato stopped attacking, which was a bit surprising. They didn't understand why Minato Namikaze didn't attack. The man and the fox looked at each other and stopped talking, and looked at the screen. On the other side, Minato glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo, smiled slightly and said, "Don't be anxious, I just said a little bit and you can't hold it. How can this be? You have to stand up, why are you weak?" Looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen's unpredictable old face, Minato Namikaze felt secretly happy. Without waiting for Sarutobi Hiruzen to speak, Namikaze Minato continued, "After all, you are the strongest Hokage in Konoha." When saying this, Minato deliberately emphasized the word, strongest. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was gloomy when he heard it. Of course, he knew that Minato was mocking him. The strongest Hokage in history, this is just for me to better train tools for myself, no, it should be to better spread the will of fire. Train a new successor to the Hokage for Konoha. After all, everything I did was for Konoha. The civilians of Konoha heard Minato's words and whispered. Yes, the third generation is the strongest Hokage in history. What the hell, the strongest Hokage in history? He was almost killed by the S-level rebel Orochimaru a few days ago. If it weren't for the fourth generation Hokage who suddenly appeared and turned the tide and beat Orochimaru back, I don't know what Konoha would have become now. Some Konoha civilians said when they saw this. At this time, another guy said, "You said that the third Hokage is the strongest Hokage in history. Then a few days ago, the fourth Hokage suppressed the S-level rebel Orochimaru. And just now, when the third Hokage and Shimura Danzo attacked the fourth Hokage subdued the third Hokage and Shimura Danzo with one move. Doesn't it mean that the fourth Hokage is the strongest Hokage in history?" This is another Konoha civilian who said, "That's true, otherwise how could he kill the third Hokage and Shimura Danzo in one move?" Minato couldn't help twitching his mouth when he heard the discussion of the Konoha civilians. He looked up at Sarutobi Hiruzen who was fixed in the air by him. He saw Sarutobi Hiruzen's face turned pale when he heard the words of the Konoha civilians. He cursed in his heart, what a bunch of idiots. He frantically urged the chakra in his body to break free from the restraints. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Then he said to everyone, "Everyone be quiet." Everyone slowly he stopped and looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen to hear what the strongest Hokage of all time wanted to say. "Minato, are you really so heartless? I am Jiraiya's teacher, your master." Sarutobi Hiruzen began to play an emotional drama with Minato. Minato turned his head and looked at him with disdain, and then waved to Uzumaki Naruto in the crowd. "Naruto, come here." Naruto came over slowly, looking at Namikaze Minato in confusion, not understanding why his father asked him to come over. Seeing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo's faces changed drastically, and they shouted, "Minato, what are you doing?" Uzumaki Naruto still has some good feelings for the third-generation grandfather who gives him 1,000 taels of living expenses every month. Namikaze Minato ignored the two's shouting, but said to everyone, "Do you know who he is?" A finger pointed at Uzumaki Naruto. The civilians of Konoha immediately replied, "Isn't he the nine-tailed demon fox?" When Minato heard the word, demon fox, mentioned by everyone, his face sank, and the words as cold as a knife came out of Minato's mouth. It made everyone present feel a little scared. This was the fear from the heart. Minato's cold eyes slowly swept over the people present, and said in a cold and ruthless tone, "Uzumaki Naruto, the demon fox you are talking about is my son." As these words came out, the whole audience was in an uproar, and then it was like a pot of boiling water, and they began to discuss wildly. "What did we just hear? That demon fox is the son of the fourth Hokage." "Hush, you keep your voice down and be careful to be heard by the fourth Hokage, but didn't it spread that Uzumaki Naruto is the nine-tailed demon fox?" At that time, the third Hokage did not stand up to declare that Uzumaki Naruto is not a demon fox. Yes, if it is not a demon fox, why didn't the third Hokage stand up And if this Uzumaki Naruto is a demon fox, why didn't he hurt everyone for so many years? Minato saw that everyone had almost finished their imagination, so he interrupted the discussion. Everyone, listen to me quietly. It seems that everyone has understood that someone deliberately concealed Naruto's true identity. Naruto is the son of Hokage and the hero of Konoha. Because Minato Namikaze said a few things before, which led to Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo to take action. Everyone felt that there was a problem. If there was no problem, why would the third Hokage and Shimura Danzo take action to stop it? It seems that the third Hokage is not as bright and majestic as he looks on the surface, and that Shimura Danzo has a gloomy face. He is not a good person at first glance. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was tied up, saw this and realized that he could not let Minato talk anymore. If he continued to talk, he might not only lose his position as Hokage, but also be called a sinner of Konoha. He shouted immediately, "Don't listen to Minato's nonsense. The reason why I concealed Naruto's true identity was to protect Naruto, because Minato was praised by the ninja world as the fastest man in the ninja world. You can imagine how many enemies Minato had. The number of ninjas killed by Minato was at least 800, if not thousands. If you think about it carefully, he did have a lot of enemies." Seeing this, Minato sneered and said, "Bullshit, hiding your identity to protect Naruto is simply bullshit. People in Konoha village for so many years can't protect a young child, or has Konoha become so weak? You said it, Hyuga clan leader, your brother died because of the weakness and incompetence of our strongest Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen." Minato turned his head and looked at Hyuga and said suddenly. Hyuga Hiyashi gritted his teeth and nodded fiercely after hearing what Minato said. Minato was very satisfied with this and continued, "Whatever sacrifices are for Konoha, I think it's all bullshit. It's not your Sarutobi clan that died, so of course you don't care. Speaking of Sarutobi Hiruzen, why don't you let your son die instead of Hyuga Hiyashi? Don't you think so, Hyuga Hiyashi?" Minato once again put his words on Hyuga Hiyashi. At this time, Hyuga Hiyashi's face was gloomy, and his eyes were extremely unfriendly to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Seeing this, the bound Sarutobi Hiruzen looked extremely gloomy, but he didn't say anything. He now knew that the moment he fought with Minato, he was bound by Minato's no-mark ninjutsu. He turned his head to look at Shimura Danzo, who was also bound in the air like him, and snorted coldly. Seeing that Sarutobi Hiruzen was very unfriendly to him, Shimura Danzo couldn't help but snorted coldly and turned his head away. Seeing this, Minato continued, "I believe everyone still remembers the Night of the Nine Tails 13 years ago." Everyone was puzzled but nodded slightly. The major clan leaders of Konoha village also didn't understand why they mentioned the Night of the Nine Tails 13 years ago. It was that night that many Konoha civilians and Konoha ninjas lost their loved ones. When everyone recalled it, a kind of hatred rose in their eyes, mixed with a trace of timidity. It seems that they still have a deep memory of the Night of the Nine Tails 13 years ago. Even some of Konoha's Jonins fell into memories, such as Konoha's elite Jonins Yuhi Kurenai, Akamichi Choza and other Jonins all remembered their fathers. Yuhi Kurenai's father Yuhi Shinku and Akamichi Tofu's father all died on the Night of the Nine Tails. Seeing everyone lost in memories, Namikaze Minato looked at everyone in Konoha village without comment and said, "In fact, Uzumaki Kushina and I didn't have to die on the Night of the Nine-Tailed Fox." Everyone was shocked when they heard Minato's words. They didn't understand why Namikaze Minato said that, but suddenly they thought of what Minato said before about what Sarutobi Hiruzen did, and felt that there was something fishy. As expected, everyone guessed correctly. Only a voice came. "There is indeed a secret that you don't know. The third Hokage concealed it from you. The reason why the fourth Hokage died on the Night of the Nine-Tailed Fox was entirely because of someone." Minato looked at Hinata Hiyashi with some surprise. He didn't understand why this guy would speak for him. At the same time, he thought about it and thought that through his reminder just now, he might have remembered his younger brother Hinata Hazashi again. This is why he took the opportunity to attack Sarutobi Hiruzen and show his goodwill to Minato. "Look, my Hyuga clan is on your side, Minato Namikaze." In fact, the most important thing is what Minato said. Yes. Not only did he think in his heart, as the third generation Hokage, You always say that you are for Konoha, why can't you give up your son Sarutobi Asuma as a hostage for Konoha? Instead, you help the people of the Hidden Cloud Village to oppress the people in your own village. It's shit to be a Hokage like this. Hyuga Hiyashi, you are a fool, but you can't talk nonsense. I have been very kind to your Hyuga clan over the years. Sarutobi Hiruzen heard the words with a gloomy face and looked at Hyuga Hiyashi coldly. Hyuga Hiyashi snorted coldly when he heard the words, and the major families in Konoha village were shocked when they saw this, and they quickly thought that the Hyuga clan was going to take sides. Seeing this, the civilians of Konoha village began to whisper, yes, and this is what I was wondering about back then. I don't know why this matter has been left unresolved. You know, it was the ninjas of the Hidden Cloud Village who wanted to kidnap the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan first, and the head of the Hidden Cloud Village was eager to protect the daughter and killed her. I remember that the third Hokage said that our Konoha village would pay money to solve it. Oh, so that's it. We were all deceived by the Hokage, just like the demon fox, just like Uzumaki Naruto, who is obviously the son of the fourth Hokage. Some Konoha civilians also slowly expressed their thoughts. The fourth Hokage died for Konoha village to seal the village, but his only son had to suffer such treatment. All this was done by the third Hokage and the Konoha high-level officials, yes. And the White Fang of Konoha Hitaki Sakumo was killed by the third Hokage and the Konoha high-level officials. Otherwise, how could those fools in the Hidden Cloud Village dare to bully our Konoha village? Fortunately, the fourth Hokage has returned and told us the truth, allowing us to see the true face of the Konoha high-level officials. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was standing aside, had no trace of blood on his face when he heard what everyone said, because he knew that he was finished and his role as Hokage was over. You want to ask why he didn't refute it, because there was nothing to refute, and he had nothing to say. If you think about it carefully, the things he did were really not okay. Rumors killed the hero Konoha White Fang Hitaki Sakumo, and made the three ninjas leave and escape, and none of them have come back until now. He also wiped out the Uchiha clan with the Konoha elders. Concealing Naruto's identity as the son of Hokage, let him live a life of eating one meal and not the next. Because of his series of operations, Konoha, which was originally the head of the 5 major ninja villages, has become increasingly weak. It can be said that he is sorry for Minato, Naruto, Kakashi, and even more sorry for Uzumaki Kushina. Uzumaki Kushina was very pleased to see this scene in the sealed space. How much she and Minato trusted him back then, how much she hated him now. After all, he was the only son of her and Minato, but he treated Naruto like that. Look at Sarutobi Hiruzen's son. He was always the center of attention wherever he went, and his grandson also had his own family teacher. Why didn't his son, who was also the son of the Hokage, get the proper treatment? Kyuubi, who was standing by, couldn't help but sigh in amazement when he saw this scene. Is this guy still Minato? He's so cruel, totally disregarding any friendship. I remember that the previous Minato was almost fooled by the fire consciousness of the old third Hokage, and he was extremely loyal to the third Hokage. Uzumaki Kushina listened to Kyuubi's words and looked at him as if he was an idiot. She couldn't help but complain in her heart. This guy might not be Minato. The real Minato wouldn't treat the third Hokage so cruelly. This is clearly a desire to control the entire Konoha, otherwise with his strength, the two old men Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo would have been lying on the ground long ago. But everything is just the beginning. I feel that Minato doesn't want them to die so easily. Uzumaki Kushina rolled her eyes at Kyuubi and said, if I guess correctly, Minato should want to eliminate the Sarutobi clan, the Shimura clan and other Konoha elders. Kyuubi had a human expression on his fox face when he heard this, and then swallowed a mouthful of water and said, are you saying that Minato wants to exterminate the families of these guys and the Konoha elders? Uzumaki Kushina gave Kyuubi a look that showed that he was a teachable child and then said, yes, that's what you think. There is another sentence that Uzumaki Kushina didn't say. If it was the original Minato, he would not do that, but now. It's different. Thinking of this, Uzumaki Kushina showed a touching smile on her beautiful face. This smile is so beautiful, but it is completely different in the eyes of Kyuubi. This is the smile of a devil. What's going on? The previous Uzumaki Kushina was carefree and heartless. It can be said that this is the real Uzumaki Kushina. She only pretended to be innocent for the sake of the face of the former Namikaze Minato. The violent panting outside attracted the attention of Namikaze Minato. It turned out that Sarutobi Hiruzen broke free from the restraints of the six-rod light prison. Looking up, he saw Shimura Danzo still struggling and shaking his head slightly. It seems that Shimura Danzo is still weaker than Yuanfei Hiruzen. With a wave of his hand, the six-rod light prison disappeared. Shimura Danzo fell to the ground in embarrassment. Seeing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen said, "Minato, can you let me see your full strength? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more."